The other. I told you I'm the oldest of 6 children. My parents, Goliath and Grendel, my younger brother, Muscle Man, my sisters, Lamia and the 3 Furies, but I forgot to mention the other, the shadowy figure, the older brother I never knew who left home when he was 16, never to be seen again and only heard of in newspaper reports, magazine articles, or from so-and-so saying they saw him dropping into some dark alley or slipping into a second-hand bookstore. He never wrote, so we never knew where he was. He studied for 2 years after leaving home at Oxford on a Rhodes Scholarship, won all kinds of academic awards, ESU and JBE Scholar Awards and Writing Awards, but we didn't go to any of the presentations because we weren't invited. We always found out about them from some other source. We read the occasional poem in the New Yorker the librarian would give us, and of course we read his deadly strange books. He was a prolific writer on a mission to procure molasses for the U.S. Army, numinous, from Marduk to Urantia, approaching the New Age, a pilgrimage, even the Ophidians, the Red Flower, the Plot, the life of Pierre Pompom Revoir, anarchist, God in heaven, old Melchizedek. And she said, my daughter just loves Revolva, but it doesn't go fast enough. Portraits of life in a small town. Stone Thief, a legend in his own mind. Woba Woba, monkeys rule the world. Down and Out in Louisville, My Daddy the Czar, My Weenie Satricon, The Mosquito Extermination Commission, Rishikesh. He lives, in its sequel, he dies. His academically acclaimed work on comedy, Aristotle and An Ass, Oh Yes. His award-winning one-act expressionist play, The Absurd Turds. The Onan award-winning short story, One-Armed Adulterers, The Masturbating Blues. His astonishing book on literary and cultural criticism titled The Politics of Marriage, Parallelism, Convergence, and Transmutation in 3 Stories by Tolstoy. His work on esoteric mysticism, Mysticus Memoria, Rhythmus, Ignis Fatuus, to name a few, and of course the most controversial one, 123 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list, Guilt Without Sex. Oh, and who could forget his internationally acclaimed feminist fantasy, Fellatio with 30 men made them grow mustaches. I call him Brain Man. Why not? After everyone started calling me Bone Man, I started calling my younger brother Muscle Man and felt it only natural to call this shadow intellect Brain Man. I remember walking into his room when I was a kid. I was in my I'm gonna be a spy stage and I was taking notes, writing everything down for future reference. God, the books everywhere, and he was just in high school. Books about the Holocaust and the apocalypse, Gibran, Sufi books, Gurdjieff and Uspensky, Freud and Jung and their followers, Kerouac, Ginsberg and the Beats, Hess and Mann, some guy named Thompson, Ibsen, Monk, Jacobson, Strindberg, and all kinds of esoteric, mystical, occult stuff, crystal skulls and pyramids, Egypt, Great White Brotherhood, Atlantis, the Bible, alchemy, Gnosticism, the Essenes, Egyptian and Tibetan books of the dead, Casey, Hopis, all the major religions, meditation, levitation, invisibility, Dylan. He was consumed by Dylan and Gregorian chants. God, the sounds that came out of his attic bedroom scared the hell out of us kids some nights. There were lots of posters and pictures on his walls, surreal and psychedelic stuff, sayings and poems tacked all over, covering the walls like wallpaper. One poem by Herman Hesse titled Stages, one by Wendell Berry titled Manifesto, the Mad Farmer Liberation Front, and then one he wrote I never understood, 3 a.m. 3 a.m. I stare at 3 prunes on a white napkin on the brown arm of an Indian couch against a brown carpeted floor with 3 steps leading up to a white wall. A tiny bug crawls from one prune trying to escape my finger, which smashes it. My finger leaves it exactly where it dies as proof that it did exist. See what I mean? What the hell was he getting at? I don't know. He was so strange. He had tea bags hanging from his ceiling, a tombstone in the center of his room, candles all over, a human skull on his desk, a stuffed raven perched on the back of his chair, incense going all the time, totally weird stuff, and he never talked. I never heard him say a word. One day he was gone. We never saw him again. I heard once he decided to become an Essene, read tons of books, may have helped translate some of the Dead Sea Scrolls, got rid of everything, started fasting, and one Easter Sunday, I read this in a newspaper, he burned down hundreds of acres, said it was an accident, said he was burning off a plant bed for an herb garden. No charges were pressed. He disappeared again. I heard he went to Greece for a couple of years, lived near Delphi or maybe on an island, traveled all around, east on the Enlightenment tour to Egypt, Persia, India, Tibet, and back again.